Hello everyone, welcome to this message. As our first card today, we get The Fairy Was Kissed by the Pixies. And then as our next two cards, there is Las Guna and Ilby the Retriever. So let's see. And as an overall energy, it's quite interesting because it says things are starting to get moving, but then we have the Emperor that is seeking to open your eyes. So, yeah, it's kind of fascinating because the Emperor is, of course, an energy of control. So, that's kind of disturbing, right? So, and it also recently has been connected to the dark forces pretty much. So, in terms of messaging, like when the Emperor comes up, it is at the moment associated with Satan, with the dark forces, right? With the like demons and such. So is this moving again? Is there a seeking to control you again, seeking to open your eyes as though you are blind, right? Is something like that happening again? Could be, um, because they are seeking to control you again, it seems. So, yeah, what could that be with the eyes? It's like, I guess, like making someone see something is a little bit like that, right? I want to make you see something, and this is starting to get back. There's something about Satan, the dark forces, like demons. This is starting to get going again, or they're seeking to get this going again, because there's something here about control. So Satan is seeking to control you again and to get things going and moving again in that kind of a direction. And there's something about seeking to open your eyes, forcefully open your eyes. So it's kind of like I want to make you see something. Could it be that I want to make you consume something, watch something? I want to make you. There's something about control, like controlling you through what you are viewing, perhaps. And there's something about that Satan wants to make you view something. It could also be directing your focus, perhaps, or just making you view something. So let's just see what this is about. And then we have The Fairy Was Kissed by the Pixies, which is a card of the Chosen One. So this is like being blessed by God, being chosen, and being very much lit up to the world, right? Um, yeah, being loved by the world, being supported by God, being loved by God, these kinds of things. Maybe as well with timing, because this can also sometimes be a card of timing for me, like being at the right place at the right time, which is also something that came up yesterday. So it's kind of fascinating. Um, is Satan seeking to direct your focus? Perhaps is Satan making you wanting to make you view certain things and control you in such a way? It is possible, and because there's something here about that you are starting to have really good timing, that you are at the right place at the right time, for example, that that your movement forward, because this is a card of 3D physical changes, so the movements you are making, the progress, and like literally the movements you are making. And this is also very interesting because this has something to do with like movement, because it's like bowel movement, right? So prunes make bowel movement start up again, right? So there's something about that. Satan is seeking to create something, get something moving again, and you are moving, right? But like loose from that. So you are making blessed moves, blessed action steps. You are moving forward. You are highly connected and supported by God, blessed by God. And you are making moves that are in alignment with that, quite possibly. So you are starting to move, and you are starting to move in a way where you are at the right place at the right time. So you may have really, really good timing in terms of, like, for example, when you post videos or something, like you have excellent timing, it seems. And yeah, here we have Ilby the Retriever. So Ilby the Retriever is someone who is like coming back to themselves. Um, yeah, so you're starting to come back to yourself somehow. This could also be sometimes it's just talking about pearls of wisdom, coming back to self expression, or just coming back to yourself. So, what could this mean in this case? Because it's not really related, it seems, right? This is like someone, I guess, is who's like making their own moves. That's what this is. Someone who is seeking to express themselves in their own kind of way in terms of expressing themselves through movement. And you are choosing what kind of movements you are making. So there's something about that you're making your kinds of movements. And this is exactly what is an opposite to Satan, right? Because Satan actually like the demonic minions, right? They are seeking to control your moves, right? And they're seeking to get this going again, that they can like start controlling your moves. But like you are loose from that, right? Your steps are guided. Your steps are very much blessed by God, supported by God. You're at the right place at the right time. There's something about timing that's really, really amazing. And you are also with number 21. You have left a chapter behind. You're moving into a new chapter in your life. And I do think that you are starting to make your own movements again. So you have come back to yourself and now you are making your own movements again. This could also perhaps talk about like you expressing yourself in a way that is you, that is self chosen, right? So it could be that, but because these are action steps, I think it's much more, well, of course, like you express yourself through action steps as well, right? But there's very much more an emphasis here on the movements you are making, the changes you are making, the progress you are making is very much in alignment with you, and it's very, very blessed, right? So that's what this is talking about. And then we have the feline. The feline is someone who's trying to get away with something, which is definitely like could be Satan, right? Like trying to get away with something. And again, the card that is highly connected to Satan in many kind of ways is this card here about the fairies of the future, which, as you can see, there is like this gnome here who is like pointing his finger and is like saying like you should consider this, you should consider my advice, you should consider doing this, choosing this, deciding this, moving in this kind of direction. So that it's and Satan is trying to get away with that, right? Who's is trying to get this going again in some kind of way. But I do see that you are making your own movement. So you are very much on your way. You're definitely not doing something wrong. You're not definitely not guided by Satan or whatever. That is not what is happening. You're definitely guided by God. And but there is something here about that Satan wants to get this going again in some kind of way. That you would start considering outside, like external advice that is actually coming from Satan, right? But you are this is a card as well about the angel saying like no, do not consider that, like let's move towards the future. So in this case it's much more like you are moving towards the future, because you can see that as definitely in this card, like the death card is a card of like throwing a piece of cloth over a veil, like a piece of cloth over something. So you are have ended this, right? Which is also this, like an ending and a new beginning, right? Because this relates to the world card to me through the number 21, which is the world card in tarot, right? So I do think that you have ended, you have stepped into a new timeline, right? And also maybe there was angelic support, angelic divine intervention, who where you were taking out of your current timeline, the current unfolding, but that was in the past, right? That you were in the past, like Satan was able to control you, able to advise you, tell you what to do, tell you what to focus on, all kinds of things, right? And that or at the very least, yeah, was seeking to do that, right? But there's something here about that the angels here are it's much more like, how can I say that? It's not so much that he was uh, successful at guiding you or advising you or whatever. it's much more that you were considering it, right? Because this is like someone whose intuition is like, I don't think that this is a good idea, but then we have this like, oh no, you should go in this direction, and this person's like, this discernment of this lady is like, I don't think that is a good idea. So probably you were like, I don't think this is a good idea, I'm not going to do this, and then the angels step in and like take you, like, no, 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 indeed you're not going to do this, right? So that could have been um so I don't think that that Satan was successful at guiding you or advising you or whatever, right? Like changing your path pretty much. But at the same time, because you were in alignment, right? 33, you were in divine alignment. So Satan wasn't successful at that. And but at the same time, you have stopped something. You have um you have let it go. Like this is the past. Um, and in the past, you were needing to consider something, right? Which probably also has uh, caused a dark future. So probably because this is a card of dark prophecy, right? So it could be that that the future you would be stepping into, like if you would have followed this timeline that you have successfully ended, right? But like if you were to continue on this timeline, then where there is like you considering advice, you considering being like start having to discern all kinds of things while it's actually not in alignment, and you then choosing yourself, you then choosing the divine alignment, like there always being this back and yeah. And also this makes me feel like it's almost like blinding you, right? Like that Satan is almost like putting the blindfold over your eyes, right? Instead of like lifting it. So it's like kind of like, no, no, this blindfold needs to get on your eyes, right? So there's something about um that you yeah, I'm getting something about like walking through the dark, right? So Satan would like you to walk through the dark, because if you have a blindfold on, you have to like rely on discernment and instincts and all kinds of things, because you're not really seeing. You have to rely on things that you are only sensing, that you're only discerning, right? And it's very like being in that kind of a world, you could say, and where Satan is seeking to control you, right? But you there's it's very interesting because also like this cloth is like dark in a sense, right? This dark cloth, and but there is an ending of this. There is an ending of you having to be in this darkness, right? And what is the opposite of that? That would be like the underlying energy, the soulless card, right? Absolute unbelievable clarity, right? So you it's also the masculine principle in a way. It's creation, right? So now you are creating your path. Now you are deciding upon your path. Now it's like abundantly clear to you what you're supposed to do. You are a creator, you are a discerner, in the sense like you so I would say a creator, a decider, someone with abundant clarity, right? So you have seen the light, right? Definitely you are you have abundant clarity and direction, and it's the masculine principle of like taking control, taking charge, moving ahead, knowing what to do, knowing what to change. So knowing what kind of movements you need to make. So yeah, interesting. Um, so and it's also very interesting that Tree of Cups, like it's not a Tree of Cups, it's actually the Queen of Cups. Is usually in traditional tarot, it's like this card of like looking at things from all kinds of angles. So like Satan would like you to look at things from all kinds of angles while you have abundant clarity, right? So probably has always been this kind of a dichotomy, which is pretty much what I was trying to say here, right? Like that that Satan was trying to advise you and all these things, but like you always managed to just kept on being in divine alignment, because your discernment was telling you like, no, I'm not going to do that. And there was also angelic and divine assistance whenever you were to maybe get off course, like the angels were course correcting you. So you were always in divine alignment this entire time, right? But which is pretty much this is the combination of like you having abundant clarity, you knowing what to do, you know what the road forward should be, what you like it's super clear to you, right? So you could have totally taken charge, but at the same time, like Satan wants you to be in the Queen of Cups kind of energy, which means like it's all about like feelings, intuition, discernment, walking through the dark, right? Like what am I sensing here? What am I discerning here? Like constantly being in that kind of an state where you're just like literally walking through the dark while you're actually the light, right? So it's kind of like the light being covered up with this death here, right? Like with this darkness, this cloud of darkness, and you just have to, as the light, walk through the world with a cloth of darkness over you. It's pretty much that, because you are not in the dark. You are seeing things very, very clearly, and you can totally take charge of the situation. So there was something very interesting happening here. Um, so there's also something here about, like, if you look at in the eyes of this, if you can even look in his eyes, it's going to be very difficult. But like he is so clear, so decided, so like, yeah, clear and decided. So and the Queen of Cups would have to like look at things from all kinds of perspectives, right? You should consider this, you should consider that, you should follow this advice, no, you should follow that advice. Like, I have this opinion about you, no, I have that opinion about you. Maybe you should do this, maybe you should do that. Like whatever, right? Like criticism, feedback, like, well, you know exactly what you are. You are the light, right? You're not you are the light who has had to walk in darkness, right? Pretty much through this like discernment. And like but you had clarity, right? You were so you can cover this up, but like even like with the blindfold, right? Like you can cover this up, but you're still the light, right? So that's pretty much this. And you still have clarity, you're still a leader, right? You still know a very, very decisive person, very clear headed, very masculine, maybe as well, because this definitely is not just the light, it's also literally very, very masculine in energy. So probably you were always like this, right? You were always able to take charge, to be a leader, for example, or to be very decisive, or to control things, take things into your own hands, these kinds of things. It was always part of you, right? And but you had to consider all of these things, because probably because of love or something, right? Like you had to contemplate all of these things. And as well, here you see it as like someone who's nurturing, right? You were trying to nurture people, you were trying to be loving, you were trying to be there for people. And what did this cause you, that you had to like look at things from all kinds of angles while you were actually the light, right? Which was starting to make you die, perhaps, like you were covered up with a veil as a result of that. So maybe the world couldn't see the light, right? Couldn't see this because of that. And maybe it also caused a dark future for you as well. And then we have hospitality, and which is very interesting, because hospitality makes me think about like that people take advantage of your hospitality, right? Of your welcoming nature, of you, for example, like being welcoming to people, loving people, um, like being a kind person, being a good person, right? And like um, abusing that, you could say, right? And we also have a slow tempo. So, well, you could have had perhaps, because this also relates to eating dinner with a very hospitable family, right? A very welcoming Italian family, and we ate dinner together. So it was like really beautiful, and like taking your time for things, and like taking a lot of time to like cook and like really enjoy making a dinner together, and like enjoying the meal, and it taking very long time, right, to actually have the whole dinner. So there's something about, maybe you are someone who likes to take your time for things, and to consider things, to take your time for things. So maybe you took your time to really consider, to really think about it, and eventually you made a decision. So it means it was a very conscious decision, a very clear decision, which would be most definitely, maybe God saying to you, like, this is exactly who you are, right? That is that leadership, that is that light, right? That is that masculine energy in you, right? So, that very, very decisive kind of person, but it's also you are a gentle leader, right? You are have abundant clarity, you are very decisive, but you take your time, right? So that's what this is like, that you took your time to really look at something, and at one point you decided, like, okay, this is going to end here, I'm going to stop this. But you really, really took your time, and well, people were like abusing your hospitality pretty much, right? Your kind nature, your loving nature, where you were very open to people, very but it doesn't, I think what God wants to say is, like, it doesn't change who you are. You've always been this, right? And even you taking your time right now, like you having taken your time before you made this decision is actually a sign of this gentle leadership, pretty much, right? So you've always been this, pretty much. So let's just see. And at the bottom of the deck we have breathing and meditation. So this makes me think about lungs, right? This is a pomelo fruit, but like, this makes me think about lungs, like breathing in and breathing out. So welcoming in perhaps, and like releasing. So you welcomed in, and then you released, but you released very consciously, very in a very slow pace, very deliberate, very conscious. It was a conscious decision, right? So this is, for example, like someone who makes boundaries, but once this person sets boundaries, they are like rock solid, right? They it takes a long time before the boundaries are made, but once the boundaries are made, they are unmoving, they do not change, right? So, which shows how decisive you are, but also how considerate you are, and all these things are also part of that, I guess. Um, and then we have the Ace of Swords. So this is talks about, like, no, it's not the Ace of Swords. It's a Page of Swords. So let's see, the Page of Swords. So this is like someone who was starting to get clarity. Maybe also there's something about becoming an outsider again, because you're like, this person's like sitting behind a window, and like, someone is seeking to knock on that window, I guess, perhaps, seeking to make contact, but you are an outsider. So again, like, if like Satan is seeking to control you again by making you watch something, you are an outsider, right? You are understanding, perhaps, like, okay, you are knocking. When I see things knocking on windows, it or any kind of knocking, it makes me always think in cards, like that's this, something in the spirit realm is seeking to get your attention, right? So I do think that you are understanding that Satan is trying to control you again, is trying to get this moving again, is trying to make you watch certain things again, and is seeking to control you. But this is very clear to you, right? This is someone who has abundant clarity, and yeah, you have come into clarity. It's the beginning of you. You have come into clarity, and maybe someone will also think like the sword suit is like, it talks about changes in this particular case. So your impact on the world, right? So you are starting to get a maybe you are starting to get moving with your impact on the world, your destined impact on the world. You're starting to get moving again with clarity. Yeah, you are, and this is also has become clear to you, and you have meditated upon it, because the next word is meditate, right? So you have meditated upon it, you have thought about it, if you perhaps like also like looked at it from all kinds of angles, like, okay, I'm going to look at this from all kinds of angles, I'm going to take my time to make a decision. But once I make a decision, maybe slow, but once I'm very welcoming and very open, very loving, but once I make my decision, it's also a final decision, right? And it is a release, right? It is a release, and now you are moving, getting back into this, right? You are starting to make movements that are completely you, and you're also starting to get things moving again. So I do think there's something about that, like Satan would like to get things moving again, right? But like you, like this kind of a thing, wants to keep that moving again. But like you have found clarity, right? Which aligns to this card much more, right? You have found clarity, and you are going to be moving forward in this kind of leadership kind of energy, like very masculine, um, very logic, structural logic, routine perhaps, or like high amounts of intentionality, high amounts of clarity, but also very loving and nurturing still, but like because this is like the card of Jesus pretty much, right? The light. Um, yeah, you're seeing things very clearly. I just see it in his eyes, like he sees things so very clearly. And like, okay, yeah, you can try to seek my attention, but I have released this, right? And I'm coming into clarity, and like I'm, because the page is a visionary, right? It's starting to see the vision of the future, it's starting to have clarity, is starting to getting started with their impact on the world again, because it makes me think about the wind like spreading seeds, right? Like causing, getting back at it with like slowly, but you're getting back at it in terms of that you are starting to make your own kind of impact again, because you're making your own movements again, right? So so there's something about that, that you're starting to see the vision for your life, how you're supposed to be moving forward, because the page has a vision, has a plan, has an ID, right? But it's only the beginning. It's only the beginning of a vision, of a plan, of an ID. But like you're starting to get moving with that, although Satan is seeking to control you, and also behind this this glass, right? So you are you are behind the glass, right? So you are um an outsider, you are protected, and like even if you like knock on glass, right? Like you can knock on glass how much you like, it's you're hardly going to hear that from the inside of the glass in and of itself. Like it connects to this card I once saw with like this aquarium on it, like just like in a zoo, people are seeking to disturb the animals in the aquarium, right? So they can watch you, but you won't. You are. It's kind of like you're not really disturbed by this. Like you understand, like okay, people are watching me, for example, right? Or like this is happening, like for example, like children are like whatever, knocking on the glass, right, of the aquarium or the cage, right? But like you are inside of the cage, inside of the aquarium, and like you hardly you understand that this is happening, but you're not, you're just living your life, just like the lions in the zoo just live their lives, quite possibly, right? Like you were just living your life, and like you have released this pretty much, right? So, and you're starting to get the vision for the future, and like you are welcoming, you've released it, and now you are moving forward towards the future again. So that's pretty much what I see. And you've taken a lot of time to make your decision, but like once you make a decision, it's final, and like you can move forward with your life. That's pretty much what this is like where Satan was like, I want you to consider things from all kinds of angles, like from this perspective, from that perspective, take this advice, consider that advice, consider this feedback, criticism, whatever it may be, right? But like this is just like um no, yeah, I have considered it, I've listened, I've considered, I've been welcoming, I've been loving, I've been um but my hospitality has been abused, right? So you are, which also connects to manipulation, for example, narcissists, manipulators, like people who are seeking to control you, like that kind of an abuse, right? So it's like, yeah, it's just manipulation, it's just narcissism, it's just Satan seeking to control me, it's just like you are starting to get clarity upon what is happening, really. So you have looked at things from all kinds of angles, you have considered all of this, you've been very hospitable, right? So, for example, maybe you have been open to the advice of a narcissist. You've been open to be manipulated, right? Like being open to all of this, to be controlled. Like you were open to this entire thing, but a little bit like the feminine principle, right? Like the feminine principle, it is also literally the female, right? So the feminine side of you was open to that, was open, was very welcoming, was very wanted to be kind, wanted to be loving, wanted to be welcoming and open and hospitable, right? So just like when you welcome someone into your home, you're very kind to them, and like you try to pamper them, and like um like create a welcoming, warm environment, right? So being nurturing, being loving, being kind to people, but at the same time, like this was the woman, right? She was the one who was taking this into consideration. So this was your feminine side of you, but the masculine side of you that's now really coming to the surface, right? The light, this masculine side has also perhaps like taking everything into consideration from a very logical and very clear perspective, and has made a decision, right? And is out of here pretty much. So it took some time because you were like the feminine side of you, that was the part that took its time. But I do think like the masculine side of you does not need time. It's probably someone, maybe if you don't realize it about yourself, you're probably someone who can be very, very decisive, who can set very clear boundaries and never come back on them again. You can be definitely a leader. You be incredibly intentional. You can be a planner if you want. You can there's the masculine side of you is most definitely able to take charge, right? And seeing things very, very clearly, and also is not considering this. Like the feminine side of you is considering things, perspectives, for example, but the masculine side of you is not considering this. It's just like, no. So the masculine side of you is loving and kind, but it's also like, no, I see things clearly. You're not going to mess with me, or you're not going to manipulate me, or you're not going to control me, or no, that's a boundary. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm moving in this direction. I'm going to be doing this. This is what I want to do, right? So, yeah, so that's pretty much what was happening, and yeah, so maybe that will be helpful for you to understand, right? So I'm wishing you a very, very beautiful day ahead, and bye bye.